guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should because I talk about geeky things, and today we're doing another Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode review. This particular episode is Season 2, Episode 18, the Silva Switch. So, if you want to skip the full episode recap, you can absolutely do that by clicking this timestamp right here or clicking the chapters down below. Other than that, let's just go ahead and get started. So we open up with Nate and Steele going to a vending machine to get ice cream. Nate is really wanting to have some ice cream. He wants to treat himself to something sweet, and so he does. Steele wants one as well, even though he can't eat. He just wants to hold one because it makes him feel more human. Nate gets him an ice cream as well, and he's just holding it, and then realizes how kind of crappy his life honestly is, being half robot, half human, because he wants to be able to enjoy all the things that humans get to enjoy. So Nate tells Steele that he's working on a project that would make him, wait for it, human. Ah! We'll talk about it. Okay. I only just said, like, what, last episode review, this episode, or the episode review before that? I'm good. So they head back to the lab so that Nate can show Steele what he is working on. When they get there, the ice cream is melting all over Steele's hand because obviously he can't eat it and ice cream melts. While they're there, Ben and Betty are there because, you know, funny, whatever, it's fine. But Steele's arm ends up getting a life of its own because of a short circuiting that happens because of the ice cream melting on his hand. And it goes and turns the machine on. Nate and Steele end up in the machine and their bodies switch. They switch places. And now Steele gets to understand what it's like to be human, and Nate gets to understand what it's like to be Steele, half robot, half human. Nate realizes that there's going to be like a molecular issue at the end of the day, so he wants them to switch back right away. However, Steele kind of convinces him to wait a day, to like let him be a human for a little while. So Nate agrees, and it is then that they find out that Blaze and a Robotron are stealing some more effects from a tower. So they go fight this Robotron and Blaze, and they're overpowered. The Robotron and Blaze are overpowered, and the Rangers didn't even morph. So Blaze and the Robotron hightail it out of there, and Nate is really the only one that's really struggling because he's inside Steele's body, and he's the only one that's actually like struggling to be, because he doesn't know how to be a robot, and it's hard, it's heavy to be a robot, I guess. After that fight, Steele decides he wants to try surfing because he won't short circuit in the water and he won't sink. He'll be able to go surfing and be in the water and survive it. And so the others all take him except for Nate, who has to go back for maintenance. And so Nate is starting to get an idea of what it's like to be Steele and be left behind. And Steele gets to really appreciate what it is to be human. After the experience out surfing, he is telling the others the story, even though they were all there. But Roxy and Ben and Betty were also just there, I think, just listening, and Blaze was off in the background. The real Roxy and the real Blaze were off in the background. Well, Blaze was off the background. Roxy was sitting at the booth with them. And he was telling them the story, and he ordered every flavor of smoothie and inhaled, literally just like in one sip, took down a broccoli shake, because we must teach children that broccoli is tasty. Though I've always loved broccoli, even when I was a kid I loved broccoli, so I'm not complaining. But that shake sounds disgusting. Anyway. It is then that Steele wants everybody in the gym to know exactly how he feels about being human, and we get a musical number. And it is a fully choreographed, almost music video type of musical number, and it's big and it's ridiculous and it's fantastic. We'll talk about it in a little while. The song genuinely reminds everybody how great it really is to be human, which is kind of a good message for me today. Watch my vlog from today if you have if you want to know what that means, just watch my vlog today. I promise I'll actually edit this one. I ended up feeling really sick after I edited the Beast Morphers video last week, which is why there was not actually a vlog last week. Sorry, because I couldn't even sit up to edit it. So there you go. But yeah, so that's a good message for me to hear today because humans are the worst. Anyway, we go to Evox's lair where Roxy, the Robo Roxy, is making fun of the Robo Blaze about being defeated by the Rangers, and Blaze doesn't want to take that anymore. So Blaze decides to take some Morph X to boost up his powers, like Roxy got to boost up hers with the flower DNA. So we get a new Blaze, essentially. Blaze immediately takes his new powers for a test drive with the Robotron again, and they go to steal some more Morph X from a tower. The Rangers are told about this and they go to fight. This time they actually morph. During this fight, Blaze is showing off his new powers and he is proving to be incredibly powerful with these new powers. Just incredibly powerful. Blaze then destroys the Robotron himself. He says that the Robotron is no longer needed, that Blaze is strong enough to defeat the Rangers, and he destroys the Robotron himself. And the others are all kind of shocked by this, like why would he do that? But he continues to fight the Rangers and continues to basically win against them. Blaze ends up getting away with a bunch of Morph X, and the Rangers are trying to tell the commander what's going on until the commander tells them, hey, there's a Giga Drone, go and fight. It is then that the molecular destruction is starting to happen, and Nate decides to go back to the base to try and figure out a way to get them to switch their bodies back. And so then Steel and the other three Rangers go and fight in their Megazords, or in their Zords. Steel in the Lion, I can never remember the Beast X. I don't remember what it's called, actually. I'm terrible at that. Anyway, and the other Rangers in their normal Zords. They eventually create the big Lion Megazord, Beast X Megazord, that I remember. And of course, we are able to defeat the Gigadrone, and all is well again in the city until we go to Evox's lair, where Evox is absorbing the Morph X that Blaze has stolen for him, only to find out that he is near his full power, which of course we're building up to because we're building up to the final episode of Beast Morphers at this point. We have to be building up to the final episode of Beast Morphers because it's coming, it's almost here. So we're building up to that now, and of course, this of course means that Evox is going to be at full power by the end of the season, which will be the final fight. Clearly. Roxy also knows that Blaze is hiding something, that Blaze got this new power boost, and Scrazzle won't tell her how he got it. So now Roxy is set to try and figure out what he's hiding, which of course we know as the audience, he stole Morph X. And I'm thinking if Evox finds out about that, Evox ain't gonna be too happy. So I'm thinking that's going to be a story coming up again, and clearly I can tell the future in Power Rangers because I've done it multiple times at this point. And of course we end the episode with Nate and Steel switching their bodies back, and Nate vowing to figure out how to make Steel a real boy by the end of this season. I mean, he didn't say it in those words, but we all know that by the end of Beast Morphers, Steel will be a real boy. So called it. So let's talk about things I liked about Power Rangers Beast Morphers Season 2, Episode 18, the Silva Switch. I loved the musical sequence. Okay, here's the thing. I have often complained about acting when you're on camera, that it shouldn't be as big and boo and bruh. And that's not so true when it comes to a musical sequence. Musical sequences, you need to be theatrical with those because that makes them just so campy and so wonderful and so beautiful. I love musical episodes. I love musical sequences, even if there isn't supposed to be musical sequences. If that's not a normal thing, like give me a musical episode of something and it is going to be my favorite episode of said thing. It just is. I mean, I love them. I don't care how stupid they are. I don't care how cheesy they can be. The truth of the matter is, if you take something that's not necessarily supposed to be a musical and you make it a musical for a hot second, it's not cheese, it's camp, and I love it. because they're not taking themselves seriously. They're not being like, we're gonna do a musical episode because we're taking ourselves seriously. No, they're making fun of themselves. They're making fun of musicals. They're making fun of musical theater, and I love it. It's so beautiful and so wonderful. I loved it. I loved every aspect of it, even the fact that Ben and Betty were in it. Like, I'm good, I'm fine. This is probably the only episode that I've seen Ben and Betty in where they didn't completely and utterly piss me off. But that's because this was meant to be just fun and silly, and it was just great, and I just really appreciate the musical sequence. Something I found interesting, and this is going to be me jumping into film professor vibes for a hot second. So there's a lot of debate amongst the film crews in the world, the critics, the historians, the theorists out there, that when it's a musical, is the music diegetic or non-diegetic? So if you guys don't know the difference between diegetic music and non-diegetic music, diegetic music is music that you can hear, and so can the characters. So somebody turns on the radio and they're listening to music. That's diegetic music. You know, if somebody is watching a musical unfold on the stage, that's diegetic music. That's music that you as the audience can hear, as well as the characters on screen. Non-diegetic music is the opposite. It's the music that you can hear, but the characters don't hear. So that's gonna be scores or things like that, where it's supposed to tell you, hey, this is supposed to be a suspenseful moment. Hey, this is supposed to be a sad moment. Hey, this is supposed to be a happy moment. Hey, get excited. Or hey, be a little worried here. It's supposed to elicit some kind of emotion. So there's a lot of talk in the film theory realm, in the film criticism realm, in the film historian realm, whether or not musicals on screen are diegetic or non-diegetic music. So when they're singing, are they singing or are they talking, and the audience gets to hear them singing so that we can elicit an emotion, so that we can follow the story a little differently or make it a little more entertaining. I go back and forth personally when it comes to kind of where I stand. That's the beautiful thing about film theory, is that it's not just like, oh, this is what it is. You know, you can follow your own personal theories and make an opinion as to, you know, you look at the statistics, you look at the history of it all, and I go back and forth on it, to be honest with you. It's one of those theories I have trouble, like, attaching myself to one or the other as a film critic. So it's I don't know, it's interesting because I like both arguments very much, and I think both arguments are valid. So it's really tough for me to decide which one I aspire to. It's very different than me with the auteur theory. The auteur theory, I'm a full believer in the auteur theory. You cannot tell me otherwise. If something is wrong, it's the director's fault. Anyway, that being said, I just think that it was interesting that they purposely made this music diegetic music. Now, was the sequence itself diegetic? Probably not, though it would be more like a dream sequence, I guess, that it would be diegetic, because that's not, diegetic is literally just used for music. But so the actual like dancing, choreographed dancing music video portion was clearly probably a dream sequence, because they all changed outfits. They were all like knew all the dance moves. Everybody, all the extras knew the dance moves too. So it's clearly a dream sequence, but at the same time, clearly Steele was singing. So it's interesting that they had gone that way, that they actually decided to go as far as to showcase that what was really happening on screen was actually diegetic music. I just thought that was really interesting. Just again, because of that whole like theorizing one way or the other, is it diegetic or is it non-diegetic? It's fun. It's very fun to have them take that so seriously and like be like, no, this is diegetic, guys. But maybe I only find that interesting because I'm a film critic. Like, that's actually my education. I literally spent 4 years learning how to theorize in film. So anyway, there you go. But maybe it's only interesting to somebody like me who actually studied it in school, studied it in college, has a 4-year degree in it. But I just think that was kind of interesting, kind of an interesting little moment that I kind of sat there and was like, oh, huh, that. I really need to say that the use of Robo-Blaze and Robo-Roxy in this particular episode was fantastic. I love when they're pitting them against each other, like when they're pit against each other in general. I really like the fact that they don't like each other, yet they're forced to work together. I like that kind of dynamic. And it'll be interesting to see where the story kind of goes from here, where Roxy knows that Blaze is hiding something, but Blaze is so adamant about being number one. It'll be interesting to see which one essentially wins out, because obviously they're both gonna be destroyed in the end. Clearly, they're evil, they're the bad guys. But at the end of the day, it'll be interesting to see which one gets destroyed first and which one does not. So there you go. I just think that's going to be very interesting, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I liked how they were used in this particular episode. The story is going to go both ways for me. I liked the story. I thought the story was handled well. I feel like we're going to talk about it a little bit. It's a little bit of an overused storyline, but I liked the direction that they took it. I really liked the reasoning behind it. I feel like there could have been more story to be told with it. So again, like I generally say, with episodes like this, it'd be nice to see it be a two-parter, or maybe this is where, you know, Power Rangers would seriously benefit moving to a streaming platform where they don't have commercials, and so they can make a longer story even though it's still a half hour, because there's no advertisements in between. But I don't know, I felt like this story could have had a lot more to tell, but at the end of the day, the story itself, I feel like, was handled very well. But on the other side, like I said, it's a very overused story, especially in Power Rangers. What we had it, I can't remember if it was in Mega Force or Super Mega Force, where Jake and Noah switched bodies. And I know they did it in Mighty Morphin. I know they did it in Power Rangers at least once. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers at least once. I feel like they did it in Zeo. Am I wrong? I can't remember if they did it in Zeo or not. But at the end of the day, this is a storyline that's used constantly in Power Rangers. So it was nice to see it done in a very different way. It was nice to see it done in a way that really made the story feel a little different. But at the end of the day, because usually it's like the goofball or the ditz that ends up with in the Brainiac body is usually how it goes. Even though, yes, Steel is the goofball and Nate is the Brainiac and they switch bodies, that wasn't the point of the particular story. The point of the particular story was, I mean, at the end of the day, Steel is Pinocchio, right? So we've got a character who's not real, a character who is, wants to be real, and is going to be made real, clearly, by the end of the season. Which we're gonna talk about that when I'm done talking about everything. We're gonna talk about it. So we're still getting to it. So at the end of the day, this is really becoming a Pinocchio story. At least Steel's story arc is Pinocchio. So obviously they could take it in a different direction than they've taken it in Power Rangers before, which is great. But at the end of the day, it's just an overused storyline, and it would have been nice to maybe tell the same story in a different way. Maybe they could have given Steel a human body and it just may have failed and he just became a robot again. I think that could have been a very interesting way to tell that story, but then Nate wouldn't have learned the lesson that he learned, so I don't know. I still feel like it's just an overused story. It's my own personal thing, really just for creativity's sake, but that's where I am with that. So let's talk about the switching voices. So there's two reasons why I don't like this. One, very, very much just my own personal thing. Just my own personal, like, hey, don't love this, don't like it. But the other one, while again, it's definitely very much a personal thing, at the same time, like, it just doesn't work, like, realistically. So my own personal thing is I have trouble, especially like in Power Rangers, I have trouble with switching voices out of suits. So I associate a voice with a suit, and if that switches on me, it just messes with me. It's part of the reason I hate Rocky as much as I do, aside from the fact that, like, I was just developing PTSD, and Jason was the only thing that kept me safe in my life. If you guys want to hear more about that, go watch the vlog where I talk about where Jason came back. It's called Austin St. John Made Me Cry. So go watch that if you guys want to hear more about what that was. But I felt an abandonment for the very first time. I felt abandoned, and that's the biggest reason. But one of the reasons also is I have trouble, even to this day, hearing Rocky's voice come out of the Red Ranger suit. It to this day irks me and bothers me. I don't like it because that's Jason's suit. And so like I said, I associate, even in Megaforce, or Super Megaforce I should say, in Super Megaforce, that was still something that was really tough, was hearing Troy's voice come out of different Red Rangers, or Emma's voice coming out of certain Pink Rangers, or Gia's voice coming out of certain Yellow Rangers. Because I associate the suit with a voice. So personally, on a very personal level, I hated the fact that they switched voices, because it just irked me. Because I just can't, it's just not something I can get through. It's just, my brain doesn't like that at all. But that's my own personal thing. I'm not gonna be like, that's bad. Bad, Judlin. Now granted, this is a kids television show, and I understand, and I mean, they've done this in Red Dwarf. I still just think it's dumb. Though, executionally done very well. Abraham, my hat's off to you, my friend, being such a new actor and being able to pull off lip syncing as well as you did. Then again, I guess I don't know, maybe it was a dubbing situation, so maybe Abraham got to say all the words, but he was definitely saying them like he would, like if Steele were saying them. So I don't know, it's hard to say, but he could have been saying the lines, maybe even pretending to be the voice, the guy who plays Steele, like kind of imitating him a little bit. And then the guy who plays Steele could have very easily dubbed over all of that, so they could have just replaced the voice. But at the end of the day, it was still very well done, very well executed, and Abraham, well done, well done. Incredible job. However, Steele being in Nate's body would not change Nate's vocal cords. I said it, okay? Scientifically, it just doesn't work for me. I can't live in that world. I cannot. Like I said, they do it in Red Dwarf, which is like one of my favorite television shows, but I don't like that episode. And there's a lot of reasons why I don't like that episode. But at the end of the day, that's one of the reasons I don't like that episode. Though again, they do such a great job imitating each other, and I love it. But it's, I just don't love it. I just don't love when they switch voices, because it just, it feels like executionally, it just feels very bad. Because again, like, you as an adult, because again, it's a kid show, but as an adult, and maybe as an adult who again studied film in school, you always look at things very critically, and that's something that I looked at and went, but that wouldn't have scientifically changed Nate's vocal cords. Like, it was just it's just a thing. Like, my voice sounds this way because of my vocal cords, right? That's why my voice sounds like this. If Dylan and I were to have a brain transplant, I would not sound like Dylan. Dylan would not sound like me, and this body would not sound like Dylan. This body would still sound like Britt, and Dylan's body would still sound like Dylan. It's one of those things that just bug me, but I mean, I guess, because again, I get it, because like, it's a kid's show, and it's a lot easier for kids to understand. They switch bodies. If Nate sounds like Steele and Steele sounds like Nate, then kids will be like, oh, they switched bodies. So I get it, but at the end of the day, don't love it. I did it. I told the future again. So I know nothing about Power Rangers Beast Morphers as it aired in other countries. I specifically stayed away from spoilers. Specifically tried really, really hard to stay away from spoilers. I have yet to be spoiled about anything that I have I've come across maybe one spoiler, but that I have not confirmed that yet. I did not confirm that spoiler. I will not know that spoiler until it may or may not happen. But okay, so for the record, I knew Jason was gonna come back as the Gold Ranger. I was like, it was before the first movie came out. And I was like, Jason's gonna come back. He's gonna be the Gold Ranger. I knew it. And then the Gold Ranger showed up and I was with my friend Nikki going, that's Jason. She's like, it's not Jason. And then it wasn't Jason. And then it was. I knew Nate was going to become a Power Ranger from the beginning. Go back and watch my Beast Morphers first impressions video. I literally said it. When this season is over, I am going to watch my first impressions video. I'm going to react to it again. And we're going to see how my feelings are about Beast Morphers from then to the end. But anyway, I do know I said it in that video and I knew it. And then just either last video or the video before that, I called it. I said that Steel was going to become a real boy. Y'all, I called it. I called it. I did it. Me. This person, apparently I'm psychic, but only for Power Rangers. Apparently. So there you go. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Nice episode just to be silly and fun, which makes this video silly and fun because sometimes these aren't fun to make because Judlin. Yeah. All right. If you guys want to see the last Beast Morphers video I did, you guys can click right here. If you guys want to see all the Beast Morphers videos I've ever done right here, or you can click right here, and it covers most of season 1, all of season 2 so far, and I hope you guys enjoyed those videos. If you guys want to subscribe, go ahead and click right here. Hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. I make a new video every Monday when a Beast Morphers video airs on Saturday, and every single Thursday with my whole array of geekiness. And if you guys want to see the vlog that I'm making today, you guys can click right here. Hopefully I don't want to throw up tomorrow and I can actually edit it. See you guys all next week. Unless you come by Thursday. I'll see you guys then. Bye.